Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Christina.
And I'm Nicole. On our podcast, we delve into the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
That's right, Nicole. Our podcast is all about exploring those fundamental truths and practices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit.
Yes, Christina, we want to make metaphysical concepts easy to understand and accessible, especially for those who don't have a ton of time to do all the research.
Right? We'll do the research as well as share our experiences and perspectives, hoping to empower you, our listener, to find balance and magic in your day-to-day.
Inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root, let's explore the roots of well-being and self-healing together.
This is The Radical with Christina and Nicole, two metaphysical girls in the material world. Hello, welcome to our podcast, The Radical. I'm Christina.
And I'm Nicole.
Today, Nicole and I want to do a podcast on our purchasing power. We're going to sum that up in a little bit of a year in review of some of the decisions we made to buy something that we're really happy about. That'll be the first segment. The second segment, we're going to talk about boycotting. Now, that word has been floating around in social media, and it's getting a lot of attention right now. So we're gonna break it down and talk about it and kind of what it could mean for us as everyday citizens. And can we make a difference?
I'm excited for this one today.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you, I'll give you guys a sneak peek. I believe we make a difference. I think every dollar spent makes a difference. Okay, and then message from the universe. I've got some cards chosen. I'm going back to The Wild Unknown Archetypes by Kim Kranz. So I guess we should just get right into it, Nicole.
Yes.
We should just start, right? Now, this isn't an exhaustive list of all the best purchases I've made. But these are the ones that have a lesson in them for me. I'll start. Number 1, a really good hairdryer. I was so on the fence about this hairdryer, and Nicole and I will talk a lot about health and beauty. The more you get to know us, the more you will learn that she and I are both on journeys of finding the healthiest, cleanest, most cost-effective products for ourselves. Would you agree?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So this hairdryer was part of that journey for me and finding out what was the best options for me. And it was just expensive. And I felt like it was just not, it just didn't make sense for my lifestyle to have this really fancy, technologically advanced hairdryer. But I bought it for myself. And I got to tell you, it's efficient. It dries my hair faster. It has the settings I need so that my hair is dried appropriately for the season that we're in. Because I don't use a lot of product.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that it's probably paid for itself in the convenience and happiness of it being an it's made my life easier. And can we really put a price tag on that? Yes, we can. I'm not going to say the price. I'm not going to say the price, listeners. I'm not going to say the price. But on the other side of that, I got a puppy this past summer, and he is a poodle, and I have decided that I will groom him. That's just part of my time with him. And I needed this hairdryer for him. But I didn't know that when I bought the hairdryer. But it works perfectly for hair drying my dog.
I love that you said you picked things that have a lesson.
Yes.
Because I kind of did the same thing. And in the second segment, I have some notes on sort of purchasing considerations. And Christina, you've hit on two of them.
Yeah.
Spending money on something that is quality and will last a long time versus something cheaper or off
Mm-hmm.
brand. I actually did that with a hair dryer, and the cheaper one lasted about a year.
Yeah.
And then I ended up buying the expensive one anyway, which I should have done just from the beginning.
The lesson in this hair dryer was don't be afraid of technology and don't be afraid of a price tag if it is the right match for what I need and what I want. And also, the price tag and the company means that there is a warranty. I'm committed to maintaining this expensive hair dryer and following up with the company if anything happens to it. Because to me, it's an investment. Even if it is a
Yes.
hair dryer for myself, I am worth it.
The first item on my list, I actually invested, I like that word, into gua sha tools.
Mm,
They're not the traditional gua sha shaped tools. One is more for tension release. It's a little more targeted, which is why I picked it because I want the benefits of a gua sha, but I also want some TMJ tension
yeah.
release and work on the jaw muscles, the neck muscles, my shoulders, and then I got a body gua sha. Another benefit of the gua sha tools, it's a one-time purchase.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a recurring charge.
Yeah. I have been doing gua sha on my face for years. I and I broke my first gua sha stone. You said it was a one-time purchase, and I was like, "Oh, should I tell her I actually broke my original one?" And I
Oh
had it
no.
for a good couple years. Um, and it was the green. It was either jadeite. I don't think it was real jade, but now I have a rose quartz one. But they're lovely, and like you said, building a relationship with the way you feel when you do this self-care and the way you feel when you don't do this self-care and the mindfulness, that it has been such a key part of my morning. And my advice to anybody who's getting started on that is that it seems like a lot at first, and then it literally just becomes like brushing your teeth. You just
Mhm.
do it. It just is part of how long it takes you to get ready. It's part of your day. It's just part of your routine. And you know, when you don't do it, you can feel a difference. I am a
Mhm.
firm believer in gua sha. And you know how I was introduced to it was when I was doing a yoga. Do you remember when everything was about myofascial release in our
Yes.
yoga community? So
Mhm.
I was taking a training, and the wonderful, amazing instructor that I was taking it with, we had a little chat on gua sha stone. And ever since then, I was using it. I absolutely, I absolutely adore it. I love it. I love the physical effects and the mental effects of gua sha.
Mhm.
Okay, my second purchase, and this again was one that felt very indulgent for essentially what I was calling a journal, is a structured daily tarot calendar. These are available from lots of companies online. You can find ones that suit your needs or suit your budget. But I was of the state of mind that I could just buy a blank notebook and just do it myself. You know, we all have those thoughts that it seems indulgent and pricey, and I don't need that much structure. But I'll tell you what, I ended up buying it for myself, and I love it. It has been such an amazing tool for my personal tarot practice, tarot education, and journaling and self care journey. I needed the prompts. I needed the space. I needed these spreads being right there next to the calendar. I needed all of those things and I enjoyed them and I liked them. I have a better understanding now if I choose to buy this calendar again or not. I have a better understanding now of what that blank notebook should be because I let myself have this really fancy tarot calendar for a year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because now I know what worked for me and what didn't
Hmm.
work for me. So if I wanted to do my own, I'm like, yes. To have it laid out and to understand it's okay just to write bullet statements for my goals this month. I don't need to write a whole paragraph. How many cards do I want to draw a day? One or three? Sometimes I do both. It just gave me options, it gave me freedom, and it helped me understand what I needed. And it was expensive, and I was like, that is unnecessary. But it has been wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
It's like it helped you develop your routine with
Yes.
your tarot cards. It helped you
Yes.
develop that relationship and what really makes you excited, what you could do without. I subscribed to these moon books for a little bit, and there's tons of options out there
Oh, yeah. So
like
many.
this full moon, new moon, and I was doing both for a while. And I think I did make it through like the full astrological year. And I was like, okay, well, I think I'm done. Not because you stop learning about the moons and the signs and what's going on, but I felt like I had formulated my moon ritual and I was
Yes.
ready to do things like watch astrologers on YouTube because I had a base knowledge, then I was ready for more and I was ready for different.
Yep.
So,
And that was it. That was I it's okay to allow ourselves to have a certain product because it's not forever. I do
mhm,
not have to buy this item every year. That's the other thing too
right.
is that it's not a commitment in that way. It's a commitment to myself, but I don't
Mhm.
have to commit to that product. I just used it to help me along.
It was like training wheels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my second item, mason jars. I've
Ooh.
owned them, before this year because we're kind of picking things that we bought this year, but I've expanded my mason jar collection. This is something that to me is multi-purpose. I use mason jars as like a shaker cup, like a blender cup. I
Yeah.
make cold brew tea in mason
Oh,
jars, overnight oats, chia pudding. I bought more mason jars this year because I am moving away and really have not been buying bottled beverages that come in plastic. I buy electrolyte packets
yeah.
instead. And then what ends up in the trash can is just a little packet that the electrolyte mix was in instead of a full plastic
Yeah.
bottle. I read ahead in your note and saw like the wide mouth. Those are my favorite. I have some purple ones.
Yeah.
I love mason jars.
Yeah. I love a good jar.
Mhm.
I started saving good jars. I'm sure we might have some listeners who are jar savers as well. And I've learned the jars that serve me best and the ones that I save and I just never use that I actually do recycle. But if the mouth of the jar is as big as the body of the jar, those are the best ones because you can
Mhm.
get stuff in and out of them so well. Very attractive, pretty jars that taper at the top. I don't know what to do with those. So I've learned what jars work for me, but oh, I have a whole cupboard of jars, and they bring me great joy when I use them.
We will be circling back to jars.
Oh, okay. Another expensive purchase that I was on the fence about are very very, very, everything's expensive to me. It could be $5. I'm like, that's too expensive for a pencil. Expense is a scale based on how we value something, right? So these I bought for my house for the main living areas of my home and the people who live here. Fans that will heat and cool an area. So it can be a space heater that blows hot air, but then also a fan that just blows regular cooling air. And I was on the fence. They seemed too expensive. But I don't like to run a really high or low temperature on my thermostat for my whole house. So, point to point comfort is what I was thinking with these fans. You could have it right in front of you, that if I'm sitting in here and nobody else is in the house, I don't need to have the heat on high. I just need to be warm where I'm sitting. They have fallen into use in my house, and they're amazing. And everybody's happy with they're quiet, but they give you enough sound that if you like to sleep with a fan on or sound machine. Some people like to have air moving on them when they're sleeping. So, if you don't have ceiling fans, anyway, an expensive, technologically advanced fan. Making your immediate space comfortable for you as opposed to heating or cooling your whole house when you are just in one space. I have found it to be something that I use the phrase has paid for itself and has brought the people who live in this house with me a lot of happiness and a lot of comfort. And they were expensive. We value them highly, so they have paid for themselves.
I like the air around me cool,
Mm-hmm.
but I will run a space heater in my bathroom.
Me too.
So, yeah.
Me
Speaking of bathroom,
too.
my third purchase from this year shampoo, conditioner, and shaving cream bars. I'm doing this because I am trying very hard to make my entire bathroom plastic free.
Oh, what a good endeavor. That's fantastic.
The
And,
skin,
I was going to say, that bottled shampoo and body wash is almost all water.
right?
Have you read that article or read the articles
Mm-hmm.
on?
I have. I made the switch because I didn't want to contribute to our big trash
Yeah.
problem. There's a garbage island
Yep.
in
Plastics
the
in the
ocean.
ocean.
Yeah, all the plastics. So I buy bars of shampoo, conditioner, shaving cream, and just regular soap. The skincare line that I use, they offer plastic free refills. All of their products come in
Nice.
glass. You keep the lid and you reuse the lid. I love their products. They give money to ocean cleanup,
I
which
love
is awesome.
that. We've got to start somewhere, and it's tiny steps. Tiny
Mhm.
steps and big steps. It could be a very expensive fan that lowers your overall electricity bill, or it could be buying plastic free health and beauty items. It all makes a difference. And talking about another really small step, but for me, adds up a lot, is I switched to loose leaf tea versus buying tea in tea bags for my use at home. So I drink a lot of tea. A lot of tea. I drink tea all day long. And I took a look at the products I was using and why I was using them and my favorite. What did I like to drink? What tea would I use first? What tea? Do you ever buy something and then you don't let yourself buy something else until you've used the last of this product you don't really like that much?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I bought this tea. It's not my favorite, but I will use it all before I buy more tea. And then you just don't buy it again, right? So I'm kind of been like analyzing, and I'm a tea lover, and I have so many wonderful people in my life, and I've been gifted uh, these tea steepers
Oh,
that are
yeah.
like spoons that you put in your tea. And I've had them. I just haven't been using them. And then on a whim, I bought a container of loose tea and I've been using it. And then I used it more and more and more. And then I'm like, I'm not going to buy those tea bags anymore. I'm going to find a replacement tea for that decaf or a replacement tea for my morning caffeinated brand. And also, depending on what your goals are with your tea drinking, you could make your own tea and go and buy loose herbs and berries and go to places that you can combine your own ingredients to make a tea. I have another cabinet of peppermint and catnip and elderberries and red clover all in little glass jars in my
Hmm.
cabinet that I can make a brew of my own. So I took a look at something that I do a lot. And also, I want to buy higher quality tea. I want to buy tea from companies that are treating their treating their employees correctly and fair trade and organic if you can get it. That kind of stuff. I sat back very reflective in that area, and I'm it makes me happy, Nicole. I am happy to not throw away 10 tea bags a day.
Hmm.
And even if they're paper and string, it's still more waste than buying one container of loose tea. It's still paper and trash. It was hard. I'm not going to say I did it overnight. It was a process. But now I'm happy to say I only have one tea left that I have to replace that still comes in a tea bag that I'm working on. It's one of my decaffeinated ones, and I need to find a replacement for that. But yeah, all the other ones, loose leaf tea.
And I'm a coffee person. So for me this year, a really good purchase was finding a mushroom coffee that I'm really happy because I do not need 400 milligrams of caffeine.
I
You know how
remember,
they you know
I,
how they say it's 200 milligrams for 1 cup of coffee?
yeah,
And some days it's 600 or 800 because I'm having, 3 and 4 cups of
yeah,
coffee or I'm having espresso. I don't need
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, I drink coffee too. I drink tea and coffee, and I tend to be a decaf coffee drinker, but some days I feel a little tired. But didn't I ask you if there was no caffeine in coffee, would you still drink it? And my answer is yes, because I drink decaf.
My
And I
answer
don't
was no.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I want the caffeine in the mushroom coffee that I drink. I believe it's 40 or 45 milligrams of caffeine per serving. That's so much better. So even if I have 2 cups, I'm still less than half of the caffeine
yeah,
I was consuming with just 1 cup of coffee.
that's so good.
It
I
is so good.
I bought myself some really nice mushroom. I don't even think it's coffee. It's just the mushroom drinks that you can mix in with your coffee, or you could just drink it like it's a hot beverage. And they're just not part of my routine. I'm going to drink one in the morning when I break my fast, and I'm going to drink one at night before I go to bed. I'm going to use them because they're so good. These mushroom elixirs are so good for our bodies. Our bodies love mushrooms. Have you read the articles on this? I mean, listeners, go look this up. How much our bodies love these types of substances and these types of elements coming through, coming into our bodies. And I just haven't gotten into the habit of drinking them yet. And when I do, remember, I love them.
Hmm.
That's going to be in the resolutions podcast for next week.
Yeah, that's my second to last item, the mushroom coffee. So I only have one more, but I know you have a
Well,
couple. So let's
I have
hear.
I have at the bottom of my list, I have some honorable mentions that I didn't buy this year, but I have to say have been so amazing. But first, I want to say Muslim cotton blankets. I'm a bad sleeper. I struggle with the right temperature, the right pillow consistency, the right sheet, the right everything when I sleep. And these, I think they might be organic Muslim cotton. Have you seen any of the advertisements for this? But it is it's very natural and it breathes. And I'm like, I don't believe that. And I'm definitely not spending that kind of money for a blanket, but I did. I bought one because it was the summertime and I could not find a blanket that I could sleep with. I need a blanket, but everything makes me too hot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'll try it. I'll try one. And oh my goodness, it does what it says. It is natural cotton, breathable. It has a weight to it so that it gives you that comfort of having, like, even if it's just the corner across your shoulders. Do you ever have to do that with the blanket? That you're just like, you need something on you? And it is breathable and not hot. But when I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm cold, I'm not waking up in the middle of the night cold.
Yeah.
It actually regulates because it's a natural fiber. And I have not ever, I might have had natural cotton sheets, but I have not had like a whole beautiful natural cotton blanket before. And now I'm like, okay. Now I'm sure there's a scale of expensive ones and less expensive ones. So if you're interested in this, listeners, do your research. But it seemed like a lot of money to spend on a blanket. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I
You get it.
love. Yes, I get it. But natural fibers, just like I said, how much our bodies love mushrooms because it's a natural thing. Our bodies are designed to work better when we're surrounded by materials that allow the skin and our body to release the heat as we need and then to cool down and not let us freeze to death. And some synthetic material can do it, but oftentimes if you're struggling, try to go natural with the blanket or with the t-shirts or the clothes. That
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that can make a huge difference, and it seems to me, like I said, that's way too expensive. But what is important to me is getting a good night's sleep. And it's a one time purchase. I will have that blanket until it falls apart in the washing machine, I guess. And it is so
Mm-hmm.
strong and sturdy and durable. Some of these things, we shouldn't be completely risk adverse because the way that we learn and grow is by trying things.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you gotta take the risk, I guess. And then if it didn't work out, maybe I'd give it away. Maybe Nicole right now would have a Muslim cotton blanket that I gave her. You know what I mean? It's also okay to release these things and you could return them. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt to return stuff, but you can. Almost all companies will take stuff back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big returner of things, but I make myself do it as opposed to like keep it. Or if I know somebody to give it away. So, Muslim cotton blankets. Oh my gosh.
Game
I am a
changer.
believer. Yes. That's the blanket I traveled with when we just came back from the West Coast. The
Mm-hmm.
black blanket I had, that was a Muslim
Yeah.
cotton blanket.
Yeah. Mhm. Speaking of traveling, that's my
Mhm.
final item. I wrote down travel. I never regret a travel purchase. So if I'm thinking about going somewhere, I probably should because I think we were talking about this the other day. You can regret something you did, but it's harder to like regret something you never did do.
Yeah.
I don't know how that quote
There's
goes,
something
but
about I've heard it said specifically with purchasing something that you're always going to regret what you didn't buy more than what you had bought, because if you already have it, you can give it away. You can regift it, you can return it. But if you never bought it and you still want it, you don't even have it. So like if
Mm-hmm.
your heart is calling you to go visit Portland and you just never let yourself do it. But if you go and you're like, "Oh, that's not for me." Now you know Portland's
Yeah.
not for you.
Yeah. It's not a regret. It's
Yeah.
just information.
And what is it? Money is just energy. And we can't hold on to it that tightly because we need life experiences to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to just go to honorable mentions. You ready for this? Period underwear and menstrual cups. If you're on the fence about it, at least try it. Try it. I made the switch years ago and I never went back. Game changer. Back to tea, a hot water dispenser so that it keeps the hot water hot and it dispenses it. Expensive. I was like, there's no way I'm spending money like that on a kitchen appliance. And that little thing is the most used appliance. It's something that I use multiple times a day every day. And
Mm-hmm.
nothing makes me more happy than just walking into my kitchen and having hot water immediately. And that's probably why I drink tea all day, Nicole. I don't have to boil the water. I just
Yeah.
walk in and there's hot water right there. It's
It's
amazing.
ready.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. And a really good water filter, people. Get the best
Oh, yeah.
water filter you comfortably can afford and feel comfortable buying, and use it and drink that water. Drink it even if it's in the form of hot tea.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, that brings us to defining purchasing power and boycotting.
Yeah. Our second segment.
I looked up the definition of boycott. A boycott is a nonviolent, voluntary act of protest that involves refusing to deal with the person, organization, or country, and they're used to express disapproval or to force acceptance or changes. And this could be moral, social, political, or environmental. But then also, the way we're specifically talking about boycotting is to stop buying or using goods or services from certain companies as a protest. So those are kind of two ways, because that boycott can be not having diplomatic relationships with the country, but the way we're talking about it now is purchasing power. What you don't buy
Mm-hmm.
is powerful, powerful energy.
And I looked up the origin of the word boycott. I had absolutely no idea. I just figured there was some kind of root word, it was a
Yeah.
compound word. So it's there's a little story. There's a man named Captain Charles Boycott.
Oh my gosh, it was a name? I didn't
Yes.
know that.
I didn't
Oh my
either.
god.
He was an English land agent in Ireland in 1880. Boycott worked as an agent for Lord Erne or Ernie, a landlord in County Mayo. During a period known as the Irish Land War, tenants sought for fair rents, better treatment, and Boycott refused. He refused to reduce their rent. He attempted to evict tenants who were unable to pay their rent. And in response to Charles' boycott, the Irish Land League advocated for a nonviolent strategy, which was socially ostracizing Captain Charles Boycott
Oh.
and those who worked for him. So the local community refused to work for him, provide goods, engage with him socially. They made it really, really difficult for Boycott like the community as a whole did. They made it difficult for him to manage the estate or even just live in the area. They basically made his life difficult.
Wow.
Newspapers picked up on this story, and the term boycott entered the English language as a verb to describe the organized refusal to interact or cooperate with someone as a form of protest. And the term has evolved since then, and it applies to many types of economic, political, and social protests worldwide. And I think, like Christina said, we think about it today too in terms of boycotting a company and not
Mhm.
giving our financial support to them. It might be boycotting an airline, and I don't fly on this airline, or I'm not going to buy products from this company.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I was shocked that it was a name.
Captain Charles Boycott.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and just so type in the word boycott into your search engine, and are there some boycotts going on in the world right now?
Whew, I bet.
Ooh, that's outside the scope of today's podcast. What we want to talk about boycott is specifically leaning into helping us understand that what we buy and don't buy makes a difference. And they, the powers that be, the powers who profit off of the 100 decisions we make every day, or the 50 decisions, or the 5 things you bought today, or the what you buy when you're grocery shopping, want us to mindlessly continue doing what we're doing. And what we're saying is be aware of what you're doing and then see if there's a better product or a better way to get what you and your family needs, because every dollar matters. And if we combine our dollars towards a goal, that's a boycott. We can
Mhm.
change. And the powers that be don't want change, they want status quo. And we want change.
Right. I like this definition of purchasing power. It's being more aware and understanding the influence and responsibility tied to your spending decisions. So I wrote down a couple things that I think contribute to having good purchasing power and things that help make us more responsible when we exercise the power that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So, first and foremost, understanding your own personal financial situation, your budget, your savings. It's figuring out what living within your means means.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some things are going to be needs and other things simply are wants that we need to save money for, purchase in the future when our situation maybe allows us to comfortably make that purchase. What we don't want to do is be stretching ourselves financially and going into debt or taking on, too many subscriptions,
Mm-hmm.
too many recurring purchases. Christina has mentioned this, but who or what am I supporting? So when we order online, is this company even
Yeah.
based in our country? Is that even important to you? It's important to some of my friends that they support American owned businesses, but other people, it doesn't matter. I love getting on Etsy and buying stuff from uh, business owners in other countries. So
Mm-hmm.
it's what's important to you? What are your value systems? Does it matter to you that products are organic, sustainable, woman owned, minority owned?
Mm-hmm.
One that really matters to me, cruelty free products, looking for the leaping bunny. Once you start to formulate your values and where you want your money to empower other people, then it becomes easier to say, oh, I buy from this brand because they align with me. we've mentioned it a couple times, value versus price.
Mhm.
Something might be a good deal, but how many uses are you going to get out of it? Is it going to break right away?
And do
What
you
is the
need it? Do you need it?
right?
Could you save that and then just buy one thing one time
Right.
as opposed to buying many things over time? That is the big thing for me is the quick fix versus the long-term fix.
There's just certain things where the extra amount that you pay up front, I think, is worth it. And then other times, buying secondhand.
Yeah. Especially clothes, right? Back to clothes.
This speaks to um, simplifying our life and being a minimalist. What I have learned is if I'm buying something, does this thing take batteries?
Mhm.
Is it going to require a dedicated plug? Do I need to download some kind of app? Is there some kind of subscription fee? Are there refills? And if so, how much are the refills? How many batteries? You start thinking about what all actually is going into like maintaining this item that's supposed to fix a be a solution, a fix to a problem because now you have to charge it or buy batteries, or now you have a subscription. Remember every month to change the filter or wash the cover.
Yep.
It's like you're buying one thing to fix one problem, but now you're taking on three other little things to just take care of the thing that you bought. I like to think about how many different purposes can this serve. I talked about that with gua sha and the mason jars. We've talked some about single use plastic, but that has been, I think, my biggest personal project this last year is figuring out how to eliminate the shampoo bottles, the
Yeah.
toothpaste containers. Um, Laundry detergent is another big one. There's a plastic in laundry soap and actually dishwasher detergent if you're using the pods. It's really about asking yourself, what are the alternatives? What are my options?
And it's a convenience things, right? Those little pods
Mhm.
are pre-measured, but do you really need to have your detergent pre-measured? Particularly for the dishwasher. You just fill up the little area and your washing machine for your clothes. We've been doing without these pre-measured things for a long time. Why would
Mhm.
you I mean, do do what works for you, but I don't want that plastic in my clothes
Mhm.
because even if it dissolves, it goes somewhere, guys. That plastic has to go somewhere.
Right.
And even if it's microplastic, it's to
Mhm.
the environment or in your clothes or on your plates.
I just buy powder. I buy
Yeah,
a
I do
bag
powder.
of powder
It's
and
hard to
there's a
find powder laundry detergent these days.
four more quick little notes about purchasing power. Deciding when we repair something versus when we replace something. I like to repair because then the entire thing, if we're replacing it, ends up in a landfill. And I think about this a lot with home appliances, kitchen appliances during a
Yeah.
remodel. People will throw perfectly fine appliances out and replace them because they want a different color.
I things to go over your appliances
You
now. Have you
can.
seen that?
Yeah, they're like a decal type
Yeah.
sticker. If it was on clearance, would I still want it? It's kind of like a weird Jedi mind trick to be like, if this was on sale, would I still want it?
Yeah.
It might make you want it more, or it might make you think of it less. But there's something to asking yourself that question. There's also another Jedi mind trick I use on myself where I wait 24 hours, sleep on it. And if I still want it the next day, great. If I don't, there's my answer. Unsubscribe from your marketing emails. Don't let companies tell you what to buy or when to buy it. If you don't need it, it was never a good deal. And it's never going to be a good deal. If you don't need the thing that they're selling, but it's 80% off, it's still not a good deal
Yeah.
because you don't need it.
So true. And I talked about my tea drinking, and this might seem like such a huge thing. Where do you even start? So I use me drinking tea as an example, and maybe you start with your tea, maybe you start with your coffee. Just start with one thing
Mm-hmm.
and then do the research on the company and then see if there's a way that you can buy a refill? Is there a brand that you don't have to order that you could pick up locally? For me and my tea, it's like, okay, I'm going to eliminate single use tea bags. And then I started buying local honey instead of buying grocery store honey. And nothing's wrong with grocery store honey. I just wanted local honey. Right. And then these things kind of come into a ritual that I have in my day that I feel really good about.
Mm-hmm.
So just start with individual things. Don't try to do your whole kitchen in 1 month and or your whole bathroom. I mean, Nicole, you said you've been working on your plastic-free bathroom for how long? I mean, you
Oh,
didn't
it's
do it
been
overnight.
right. It's been over the course of the last year.
And it is a process. There's this thing to talk about um diets, and I don't like the word diet. The things that we consume and don't consume should be lifestyle choices, not temporary fixes. But I remember reading, go through the advice would be go through your cupboards and throw away all of your sugar or your carbs or your whatever it is that's not part of that diet plan. I'm like, throw away, just finish eating what you purchased already and then replace it or don't do it again. That is such an odd piece of advice to give somebody, to throw away food that they already purchased in an effort to
I know.
like and that goes along with this thing like that it has to happen immediately.
Right.
It's not going to happen immediately. We have to become aware, we have to learn, and then we have to experience. And then we make the change. And then we follow through with more change if we need. But don't throw your stuff away. That's what we don't want to do.
I know.
Figure
Yeah.
out what you need and what you don't need. Don't go through your house and throw everything away. It's how we consume and how we replace and how we buy things that we need to be mindful of, aware of. And is there another alternative that will keep the money in your community as
Right.
opposed to out
Yeah.
of your community? So resolutions is next week.
Mm-hmm.
And my head is just so ready to just talk about all the experiences we've had with resolutions and what worked and what didn't work and these deals we make with ourselves. But ultimately, what we want to say for purchasing power is it's your power. It's your power to spend your dollar however you want. What we're saying is that power can be used to create change that you want in your future. It can. It might take a year, it could take 2 years, it could take 3 years, it might take 20 years, but it is power. Every dollar matters.
I agree. Okay, now I think we're ready for our messages.
Boycott, boycott, boycott. Chains, chains, chains. Um, the message from the universe is the archetypes from Kim Kranz. It's the round cards, which are so multifaceted cards, shall we say, multi-layered. So I have two cards. Pick A or B. Card A is the orphan, the wounded child, the abandoned, the beggar. To study the orphan is to study the deep and challenging energy of our time. We are ever more connected, yet face collective isolation. The refugee crisis haunts our planet. Children are separated from parents, and the earth begs for our attention. We are in a time of universal orphanage of nature. of each other, of our own hearts. Take refuge in the fact that we all share this core wound and dilemma. It is normal to fear this card as it haunts the caverns of the soul. When it appears, take time, real time, to be in the presence of the feelings this card stirs up in you. Let it humble you. What are you starving for? What is the deepest gift you could imagine giving to others? What has been rejected is quite possibly what is most needed, dear one. So this card, when it's in the light, deep solace, deep acceptance, and deep love. When it's dark, distance, it has the word hates and quotation marks, and avoids, controlling, and limiting. That's the orphan card.
Wow.
That's a lot. Tell you what, these archetype cards, they go deep. Card B, the unseen, the spirit, the ancestor, the eternal. The unseen is just as it sounds. We cannot see it, yet it sees us, watching and waiting with wisdom, both kind and instructive. We feel this presence, sense it, intuit, and then doubt its existence, though it rallies our attention time and time again. The energy of the unseen may come in many forms: a compelling dream, a sudden insight, a clear voice, a vision or message from a loved one who has passed to the other side. It is natural to fear these communications as they challenge our perception of what is real. When this card appears, your guides are near. The eternal is present. The doorway between worlds is ajar. Listen. The sounds may seem as though they come from a distant land, but they call from your innermost chambers. When this card is light, clairvoyant guidance and whispers of wisdom. Then when this card is dark, dark looming energy and unwillingness to forgive.
Those are kind of heavy.
Those are some deep cards. The orphan, the unseen. And here we are talking about the power we have to demand change in the world around us. So, very reflective there. Very reflective there. Whew. Our dear listeners, our friends, our fellow spiritual warriors, we can do this. $1 at a time.
Thank you so much, listeners. We're excited to come back next week and talk about resolutions. This theme of personal power is showing up a lot, and we hope to continue that theme.
Yes. So thank you for listening. And we hope that you join us next week for resolutions, because we're going to have some laughs on that one. I feel it.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Radical. The Radical is written and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Listener questions can be emailed to us at theradicalpodnc@gmail.com.
Our Instagram is The Radical Pod.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music.